by anyone else. So that's what we do, and that's, to me, the most important thing that I do. My girls have grown up helping with that and doing that, and it's made a huge difference in their lives, too.
Well, it's wonderful because, again, you're teaching your children that there's more out there in life than just, internet and
malls.
Right, malls.
And I also think it helps them.
And friends.
Exactly. I think it helps them from an emotional aspect as well to give them a sense of perspective. So that boy at school doesn't like you. It's not the end of the world. This is not. It really, kids, I think today, in our world, we're so often so self-centered and small, we see what affects us or who has that and I don't have that. And it's so important to see that those things are fleeting,
Right.
And helping other people and being kind and being courageous, which is the other thing that's very important because these kids are so brave. Those are the important things, I think, and it makes your life easier when you recognize that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You had mentioned in a blog, too, that you spoke about what beauty means to you, that it's something deeper and truer and more human, and that's what's important, and that's a success.
Absolutely.
And that's where you feel successful.
Exactly.
And sharing that with your children and your family and whoever else, is reading the blogs, because you learn a lot from that. And I'm grateful that you put these blogs out because they're so inspiring and insightful.
Yeah, you try to write what's true for you, and it's lovely when other people, receive it in a way that it touches them somehow. Thank you for saying that. Because that's all you really know is what you know, and that's all I think anyone has to offer as an actor, as an author, and as a person is your own voice, your own thoughts,
And it gives us another way of knowing you as a real person besides being the actress and the author.
And to me, that's the advantage to all this social media stuff. I have a hard time with this. Promote me, read my book, look how great I'm very uncomfortable with all that. I always was. But I do love the social aspect of it, of actually getting comments for someone that was touched or asking advice or receiving advice from someone else, or just support. It's to me, it has amazing potential to really bring people together if it's used correctly,
Right, exactly. So you're putting a positive spin on everything.
Well, it's a choice, isn't it? I think it's always a choice whether to put a positive or negative spin on things.
Right.
And people who do both, so.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Very
who shall remain unnamed?
All too well.
Yes, often.
And Dawn's real good for me because she's such a positive, outgoing person, and she cares about people and things that she does, and I'm very grateful to have her in my life. So
yay, Dawn.
I think we do well.
Go, Dawn. Go, Dawn.
She's leaving out the details how much I pay her to say all those nice things.
Exactly. $5.
Yeah, there you go.
It's all building up. Now, girl, you're making me go back Southern.
Yeah. I know.
When I hear that, I just pick it up. I'm sorry. I'm from Atlanta, so.
Oh, my gosh, that's so funny. Now, you also had a photo of yourself when you were doing a hike in Sequoia, and you said you remember the feeling standing there. And what feelings did you have going through your mind at that time?
It's interesting. There are times in your life when you feel huge and important and blah, blah. And there are other times in your life when you feel so small and so insignificant and so great because you realize you're a part of something so much bigger. I think we forget that. If we would just remember that little thing, we are a part of something huge and connected to all of it. I know I'm sounding very, very metaphysical here, but I swear to God, that feeling of standing on the top of something and looking down is and realizing I am so insignificant. I'm so happy.
Right.
It's a perspective
and that's
check.
what it looked like, too, in the picture, because here it is the ocean and the hills and stuff, and there's little old you standing there with your arms spread open.
I know. It's magnificent. Just so great to be there and be part of it. It's something big or something small. And I have to say, that made a great photograph. But I feel that same kind of joy when I look at, a spider's web or something really small, too. I always get joy when I see weeds or grass growing up through concrete or sidewalks. I always think, oh, look, life, Yeah. I know that seems maybe silly, but there are different things if you look for them that can bring you joy constantly,
Right. You have to get your head into that. You have to start observing. As they always say, stop to smell the roses.
Exactly.
Because, life can be over in a minute. And you'll never get to enjoy that again. So
exactly, yeah. And all things pass, good and bad. And that's even though that sounds like maybe that should be sad, it really isn't. It really does make you stop and put it in perspective and appreciate it.
Right.
I agree.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, if you weren't in the arts at all as an author or an actress and so on, what would you be? What would you do?
I would either be
a you
doctor.
as a teacher.
No, I would probably be a doctor or an anthropologist.
Okay.
The study of human beings and the way that they socially interact and behave, I find absolutely fascinating. And you can almost always go back to something basic about our humanity that explains why women talk more than men. Pretty simple. Men went out and hunted. They needed to be quiet and focus on that deer, you know. The women were doing the gathering and the planting and taking care of the children. They had to communicate constantly, you know.
Right.
I mean, it's so basic to me. I find that so fascinating. And if you look back at those things, it really clears up so many things. Why are, most men more attracted to younger women than older women? Because they can breed and carry on their genes. There's a reason.
Okay. Thank you for answering that, because I wondered.
Well, because that's what it is. The reason we reproduce is to, make sure our genes continue, right? This is a basic need for survival of the species. So if a woman is past breeding age, he may still find her very attractive, and in long-term relationships, a mature man will always prefer that mate, but it's not going to produce children to carry on his genes. It's the same reason that women are often less attracted to looks and more attracted to success, because it's the same thing as having the biggest, meanest caveman to protect your children. Today's day and age, it's success and money that protects your offspring.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
I know I'm going off here, but anyways, I find it all so fascinating.
No, it makes sense. I love listening to you talk.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's just in my newest book, which I haven't put out yet, I just finished my first edit. It's called Invisible Ellen, and it's about a young lady who is very overweight and very. She's a horrible life, foster child, orphan, and she becomes invisible because no one sees her. No one wants to see her. And one of my main characters in it is a young man who's becoming an anthropologist, and they talk about things like that all the time. But anyway, she becomes a fantastic observer of people. And then one day she actually physically runs into a girl who's blind, and the girl feels her, so they become friends. So that's where the story starts.
That's wonderful. Now, when you come up with these different stories for your books, I mean, where does it come from? Do you, see something like anthropology or something and research it and think, I can put that into a character? That
can happen. It can happen that in that case, I just started noticing people that society sort of forgot, and I run into it working with the Desi Geisman Foundation, these people who are wonderful people, but, that they work and they have kids and they're good families, but they're not considered important in society. They're not famous, they're not rich. Do you know what I'm saying? And I wonder why it is. Why have we come to this point where we're not valuing people just for being good people,
Right.
And so that was what kind of started that thought process. And then that also came from an acting exercise where I pretended to be a fat person for a day and just got into it and finally turned and asked someone what time it was, and they just shied away like, Right. And I was like, I get it. I'm fat and unattractive, and they don't want to know me. Right. And that's where that came from.
And that's sad. That's very sad because that is reality.
Exactly.
That's definitely reality.
But an idea could also come from a news story. It could come from, inspiration can come from anywhere. The question is really where you go with it.
Right. And that's where, again, a lot of the kids, they get bullied in school for either being fat or short or skinny, or like my son is in special needs, since he was 3 years old, and now he's hit high school. He's oh my gosh, is he a sophomore or junior? I can't think.
Every year
time is flying by so fast,
Gosh, I know.
But he's been bullied even more in high school, and you think it would be the little kids that don't know any better, but
no, the teenagers are the cruelest.
High schools,
the teenagers are by far I don't think there's a crueler group of people in the world than 13-year-old girls. I swear to God.
Right.
I got bullied all the time because I was, I was a competitive ice skater. So I was never in the group, I just didn't have time to hang out with the kids at school. And so I was constantly being ostracized for this or that. And I learned, it was painful, but I learned to kind of move on and find my own thing. And I think I'm finding, I mean, I don't know, is your son in a public school system?
Yes.
There's difficult. They are becoming more conscious about it. But there's a little girl in my younger daughter's class who has issues with brain seizures, and she has different things.
Oh.
And she literally cannot read or write. She's very bright, but her brain just doesn't function that way. But nonetheless, she's in the class, and she comes to all the classes, and except for the really academic ones. She has a shadow with her in case she has some sort of seizure or something. But if, for instance, for the play, she's going to help me do all the costumes and stuff. But it's been such a fabulous thing for these other kids to learn that she's a wonderful, normal human being, even though she's different. Do you know what I mean? It's made the other kids much better. In fact, not realizing that she couldn't write things, I told her, write down glasses. We're going to need glasses. And she nodded. And one of the other kids turned to her and said, do you want me to write that down for you? And I asked my daughter later, I said, can she not write that? And she said, no, what she did was draw a picture of it. And I thought, that's so wonderful. But the way this other girl asked her so factually, do you want me to write that for you? It was so great. They just accepted the difference. And I think we need to see more and more of that.
Shari, you do so much. You're really touching my heart here.
Oh,
I mean,
good.
You're really helping so many
people. It's only the things that touch me. So you're just. I believe that all people feel that way. We just get, I don't know. I think we just get lost in this surface world, And if we stop for a minute and look a little deeper, everyone has the need to connect and to feel some sort of higher or deeper purpose. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, that's so true. And you realize that as you get older and you have your own children or you have nieces and nephews or you go to work at a job that maybe as a teacher or in a counseling system or something where you see, oh my gosh, I can help so many people, and what a wonderful feeling that is.
And isn't that the most important thing?
It's so rewarding.
I think it is. I mean, I have 3 siblings. My older brother, I just, in fact, tweeted a thing that he put up today. He was an EMT for 6 years. He's now a very successful producer. He produces Mad Men. He produced Magic City last year. But he put a thing up about I was an EMT, and therefore he's a member of certain things, like their private groups, support groups for EMTs on Facebook and stuff. And he made the point that with the Connecticut shooting, that it was a very small town, and the EMT, the first responders, were not only knew the families, they knew most of the victims.
Of course,
And the things that they are having to deal with now, and that these people are heroes. These are real heroes. And to me, is horrible. We see all that stuff, and we focus so much the news on the horrible stuff, but those people are amazing, and we need to acknowledge that and feel hope and joy for that. My youngest sister is a child therapist, a family therapist, and my other sister is a teacher, teaches art, teaches kids. So everybody in the family, really, Well,
I commend you all. That's wonderful.
Oh, well, thank you.
Your parents raised good children.
Well, they just exposed us to things and encouraged us to do what we loved, and I'm eternally grateful for that.
Oh, that's so nice.
Yeah.
Dawn and I did a last-minute show. It was her idea when all of this happened, and we went on her show because she has Jam and Jukebox where she plays indie music and she interviews the different indie artists and stuff like that.
So great. And that, by the way, is a wonderful thing. You're supporting so many people. I think I salute you for that. It's great.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. We enjoy it because, of course, we love indie music. Well, we love music, but we love especially the indie artists because...
Isn't it great?
It's all new. It's all...
and there's so much good stuff out there.
Yeah.
That needs a voice.
Really is.
Yeah, but I interrupted you. You were saying what your show did.
Oh, yeah. She came up with the idea, why don't we go and have a show to, pay our respects to those that lost their lives.
Exactly.
And we did that without not once mentioning the person involved in it because he's not important.
It's not. No. Exactly. We don't know, a dark force of some kind. I don't know. It's, trying to find meaning in this is always difficult.
Right. But we did. We played music that had meaning behind it, and we said some Bible verses and prayers, and
how lovely.
We had quite a few people join us for a last minute, show like that. But
excellent.
That shows you that enforces how important this is to society.
It is important, and it's important for people as a community to get together and share their sadness and their hopes and be supportive, because in the end, that's really all there is, you know.